2016年3月19日下午2点，最遥远的距离书友会在北京亦庄伊莫欧爵咖啡举办。本书是大卫·斯科特的最新作品，由冰苗女士翻译。这是一部关于爱情、神秘探险、灵魂旅程的小说。最遥远的距离一书是从头脑到心灵之旅的冥想，帮助我们唤醒内在的自己。作为教育家和作家，大卫最关注的主题是人性内在联系所起的根本作用。丰富的旅行使他对人本性内在的联系有着跨文化的认知。他通过冥想和对各种教义的研究，去挖掘人的内心世界，使得他以窥见人内在的力量。这就是他希求通过教育和写作来向世界揭示的真相。
Hello, I'm David, and I'm honored that my book, The Longest Distance, has been translated into Chinese, and welcome you to join us on the journey of self-discovery.
大卫·斯科特·格莱格是 HAND 教育智能基金会的常务董事，他也是 UNET 教育的创始人，为知名教育机构、世界500强企业以及各国教育部提供赞助与咨询服务。他也是美国最大的教育体系诺贝尔学习社区的总裁和副主席。克莱格先生携手联合国非政府组织和世界银行，为发展中国家提供实地和在线解决方案。他同时也是一位作者，著有获奖作品，是赫芬顿邮报以及其他公众媒体的专栏作者，也是传统媒体与社交平台的常客。他也经常担任国际性大会的主讲人，还出任各国教育组织和生命科学的董事。
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time out to be here today.
下午好，非常感谢大家百忙之中还抽空来参加这个书友会。
And that's kind of really what it's all about. And maybe that's really the essence of the novel itself is, we talk about education and we say, well, maybe we look and say, okay, well, David, you work in the field of education. How did you launch off in working, in writing a book of fiction? But the connection really is in that the book itself also expresses another road that's a road of education, which is the education of self, which is driving toward a greater version of oneself through, let's just say, that constant self-awareness and self-discovery, and through the many cast of characters that make up the world around us, that reflect back to us that which we need to know in order that we can find that greater version.
这本书呢，就是写的就是心灵探索。其实我们每个人都是在人生当中在寻找自己，然后这本书是他在旅途中通过见到不同的人。然后跟他们这样的交流，然后也是跟自己心灵的一个对话，最终引领自己，能够找到属于内心真正的那个自己。
And the book itself, the title, The Longest Distance, for some of you it's saying that the longest distance that man, in that case, but really it's men and women, would travel is between their head and their hearts. So it plays off of that. And quite frankly, men have a longer distance to travel than women. Because for men, it's really hard to get them out of here and into this place, not of the emotional heart, but of the intelligent heart. And for most women, it's a shorter swim to that island.
所以这本书，写的是男人和女人的故事，但是更多的是，其实是每个人不管是男人还是女人，都是从头脑到心灵的这样的最遥远的距离，是说我们从头脑到心灵的这样一段距离。那对于相比男人和女人来说，男人从头脑到心灵的距离会比女人更长，因为男人更理性，因为心灵是需要感性的。那对于女人来说，可能从头脑到心灵会相对容易一些。
The book also, and maybe this is one of the last things we'll share, and then we can really get into discussion, which is what I enjoy most. The book was very important for me personally because there was a writer inside me, which I would encourage each of you, that when we get to the truth of who we are, sometimes we look and we say, while we're doing good work in the world, while we're being a good husband, a good wife, a good father or mother, for me there was something missing still. There was something unfinished, and it was my bringing some thoughts forward through written form, and so the process of writing the book itself was actually emancipating, was freeing for me, in the opportunity to get into the depth of my own soul, so to speak. And some find it through music, musical expression, or some through the art form, various art forms. In this case, I found it through my writing, and so, in a way, it allowed me to open up another room in my own house in terms of who I was, and something that I would encourage anyone is to ultimately, when we look at the word courage, the French root of it is le cœur, which is the heart. And what it ultimately speaks to us is, can we muster up the strength within to follow our heart? So to me, this is a result of my following my own heart. Beyond what my head would like to do, I followed what my heart needed to do. And that's how we arrived at this form here.
就是说，我们经常是依赖外部的环境，比如说，你的伴侣啊，你的家庭啊，但是你会一直处于饥渴的状态，因为最重要的那部分你可能迷失了，就是你自己。很多人会通过比如说外面的一些方式来去满足自己，比如说音乐了，比如说娱乐，比如说爱人，但是他觉得对他来说最好的方式就是写作，所以他用这个方式来打开他自己的内心的世界，用这个方式来找到他内心真实的那一部分。在这个书中，他说了一个比较重要的一个词，就是 courage， 就是勇气。这个词在法语里它是 heart， 所以就是说就是心，就是你们的心。所以你内心其实是充满能量和勇气的，但是你要找到它，要用你的心来感受你的世界，就是那个才是真实的自己，而不是你的头脑，不是理性的东西。
Well, first of all, I mean, I do have a very special place in my heart for China. Yes, that's true. And for those who believe in it, I think it's connected to sort of, let's just say, previous lives. But there's, but interesting in terms of the process of the book, the chapters moved around quite a bit. And China wasn't always the last chapter. And for those who have not read the book, there actually is a chapter after China that has an interesting ending to it. So it's but again, the process itself was really rather interesting and probably worth sharing. There's the way that I thought I wanted the book to go in my head, in terms of the order of things, in terms of how it would lay out. But then it was only when I let go of that, when I let go of my mind, and I said, okay, mind, you can come along for the ride, but you're not really going to dictate the direction of the novel. Through my meditative practices and just sort of inner workings, I would check in from time to time, oftentimes, to see, is this the right way to go? Is this the right direction? Does this character come back in? When is there a master? I think you probably noticed there's about 25 different masters that show up in different ways, shapes, or forms. And when did they show up, and why did they show up? I allowed sort of this inner guide to guide the pathway of the book. And it just so happened as a result, and in the end of it, that at the end, the characters, the story finishes up for the most part in China, but it was really more of an inner process to find that pathway, to actually follow the movement of the river or the stream, as opposed to trying to cut a path through what my mind wanted to do. So it was really a process of letting go of the mind and allowing the book to write itself in many ways. Yeah.
他说，中国对他来说确实是比较特殊的一个地方，怎么特殊他也没说哈，反正那个比较特殊，可能是他的前世来生之类的。然后这本书呢，就是他其实是让心灵带着他去写，所以就他让他的思想就是流淌，像河流一样，随意的流淌。所以就是他想到他用心去写这本书，所以就像河流一样，没有什么捷径，就是这本书没有捷径。所以就是不管怎么说吧，这个书最后就是因为中国对他来说意义很重大，所以最后结尾是在中国。
Yeah. I mean, for example, the first chapter starts in Africa, and but when I in the first draft of the book, Africa was the fourth chapter, and I struggled with it because I said, no, Africa has to be the fourth chapter. But yet I just kept getting this really strong signal, no, you need to move this to the beginning. And it ended up, and the importance of why I'm sharing this is that when I was willing to trust, to move with more grace and ease through the writing, instead of forcing it, when I was willing to let go, when it wasn't a good day to write, instead of forcing the writing, I would just say, okay, this is not the right day to write, or following a process where I wanted to write about one thing, but what came clear inside me was, no, this is the way it should go. And I'll say that even if it didn't make sense along the way, when I look back on it, kind of like the way we look back on our lives, that I don't know how many of you have had this experience where in the moment that you're going through a situation or a circumstance in your life, maybe you can't make much sense of it at the time, but if you look back later on, you can say, yeah, that actually had to happen exactly the way it did in order for this to happen, and then for this to happen, and then for this to happen in order to get to the moment of now. And so I find that the book in many ways is sort of indicative of my own life, of that it was a series of now moments, not all of which made sense at that time, but all make complete sense to get me to this moment right here, for example, where we're sharing today.
这本书一开始它这个章节上的安排跟现在是有一些出入的。一开始是想把非洲放在第4章，但是后来还是把非洲放在了第一章。就是他分享一下他写这本书的时候是很顺其自然的，没有说强迫自己去做什么一定要怎么样，就他想写就写，他觉得没有写不下去他就停一下，所以完全是让心来带领这本书。然后这个书，他说就是他人生当中，就像他人生当中经历的很多事情，虽然很多时候是不受控制的，就是不是在你的安排下发生的，可能是超乎你的设计或预想，但是每件事情发生都是有原因的，这个要到你回首往事的时候。就是你走出去很远，你回头一看，哦，那个时候发生的事，出现的人，都是应该出现，都是应该发生的，都是正确的，所以一切都是有原因的，所以这就是为什么，他今天在这里。
In answer to your question, really, first of all, I don't think that we could have accomplished what you experience with the book if it was written from the ego, if it was written from the mind. So that was part of the letting go, because there were things, even letting go of, well, do we really want to share this? Do we really want to be so open in this way and vulnerable in that way? and because there is, this is, I've been a writer for a good part of my life, but this is my first book of fiction, and in doing so, I from my process, I can't see how you could write a book of fiction that does not have some basis in truth. You know, whether it's in terms of writing about a particular place, or a particular people, or a particular situation or circumstance. So this book has a foundation in truth. And in some cases, the chapter may have started with, there was a similar experience in my life, and that was kind of the foundation for that chapter. But yet, I still had the humility and hopefully the wisdom to allow the story, chapter by chapter, to go where it needed to go, and which, when you let the imagination step in, is far greater than what the mind itself can see. So it has a foundation in truth, but yet where the story went was something greater than my own life experience. And might I say, without ruining the book itself, it's I think where it ends up would be a pretty nice place to be. You know, in terms of self-awareness and self-content and a good life lived.
这个虽然他以前也写过很多东西，但是这是他的第一部小说处女作，所以对于他来说，小说一般都是，尤其是早期的小说都会有真实的影子，所以他的基础是在他很多真实的经历上的基础，然后这个也是他会让心灵带着他写这本书，完成这本书，这个是他说就是要找到自己的认知和真实的自己，自我满足 ，sorry， 自我满足，还有自我满足。
I just want to mention in particular, I had a wonderful father in my life. He was a great mentor for me, and he passed, at 68 years of age, so very young these days. So the reference to the father figure is fairly accurate, and the relationship that the character has in terms of a greater understanding of who his father was, than as opposed to, because don't we find oftentimes that whenever we meet someone or have someone in our lives, we always vet it, process it through our own filter, and oftentimes it's distorted by the nature of that filter or lens itself, and so I've experienced, at least in my life, that when I'm able to take a different perspective, and you could say a healthier an attitude through a higher altitude, that you can then see all sides of that person or the situation or whatnot, and allows us to have a better relationship with it. Because really, in essence, this book is about deeper loving, and the book is about healthier relationships in our lives, whether it's with each other, whether it's with ourselves, or whether it's with a higher self. So it really is, in many ways, a book about the relationships that help to complete the picture of our lives in many ways.
这个书呢，就是说要找到你自己跟别人的关系，然后你自己还有你跟周围人的关系，还有跟就是你更高的那个自己的关系。他生命当中对他影响非常重要的一个人是他的父亲，但是他父亲去世了，在68岁的时候，是很年轻的一个年龄。父亲对他的 影响意义很深远。所以书中所描述的他和父亲的那个情节和故事是真实的。还有他在书中，当然还包括他在书中跟其他的一些人的关系，也有很多是真实的。
Yeah, and it becomes even more difficult when you consider that it's not just emotional or rational, because actually when we talk about following your heart, what you really want to get to is following your inner heart, your deeper, more what I refer to as the intelligent heart. So it's not the emotional heart, but the intelligent heart. Some might call it your deeper wisdom or greater wisdom. And so that's even a third possibility, right? So it's a great question. It's personally, I have a process where I can check that out inside, because I meditate every day, and the purpose of meditation for me is just to get things lined up. So you've got your physical, your emotional, your mental, your spiritual, and yoga provides an opportunity for this too. But through meditation, I get everything lined up where I find that it's easier to get the answer to the question or any questions, because I get a straight shot of truth that comes from that. And so there's a place where we think, and there's a place where we believe, and then there's a place where we know. And you'll know you're in the place of knowing because you just know it. It's sort of like it's beyond challenge, really, And so the only way I can share with you that I do it is through my meditative practices. I get into that place of where I can see the difference between what my mind wants to think, even what my emotions, how they want to behave, and what is the truth. And that's part of this book is a journey to get to that, to what is truth. And difficult to do if you're trying to think about how do I get there, because you can't get there through the mind alone. That's the challenge. I know it's a bit of a paradox there. You say, well, I'm thinking mind. Is it mind or is it motion? Well, I can tell you right now, if you're thinking it, you're not there. So it's actually a place where the mind quiets, the emotions calm, and then you can get into another place. And once you start doing that, and again, could be any process by which you quiet the outside world long enough, if you go for a long walk in the woods, or maybe through some meditation, yoga practices, whatever it is that allows you to just move into that Zen experience, you'll get the answer to your question. But you won't get the answer to your question if you're trying to think it through. And this is the challenge of men, by the way, is men have a hard time getting out of our heads. But I will tell you, there's hope for you, just like there was for me. Because I was also a very logical thinker, a very scientific kind of way of which I looked at the world. But there is a way to use that to your advantage by testing out new things. Let me test this way. Does that work? Did I get some new experience from that? Or let me test this way. So you can still use your mind as a guide. Your mind can't take you there, but it can help you get there, if that makes sense. It's really hard to explain it because the process is a deeper process that you would need to get beyond your head in order to get there, but yet your head wants to wrap around what the idea would be. So, not so easy to do, but the best advice I can give you is try some different processes, meditation or others, that are designed to quiet the mind and calm the emotions. Try that and see if you find something else once you do that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
听明白了吗？
最后一句听明白了。
还挺诚实的，就是他说的那个比较那个，就是很耐心哈，说了两遍吧。就是其实他就是说，他说的意思就是说，其实是对于特别是对男人来说很难区分哪个是你的思想，哪个是你的心灵，所以就是说要想这样做到，就是让心灵引领的话，你首先要找到自己的方法。比如说，他说他在树林里很长的这个散步啊，还有音乐啊，比如说静坐呀，对他来说，静坐他会让自己的思想、意念啊，整个就是把它整合起来。还有一个办法就是让你的头脑安静下来，让你的情绪稳定下来，就是让你整个的人静下来，而不被外界打扰。这个时候你更能知道你内心的声音。其实你遵循自己的内心做事，可能会相对你头脑来说，可能那个才是你真的想要抵达的地方。
Yeah. Yes. First of all, so the character in the book is sort of shaken and awakened by that experience in the first chapter. But then where to go next is an open question. My personal experience is, and Amy had shared that she believes in God. I happen to also believe in God, and my view of it, which you may have been here earlier for or not, is that my view of a God is that whatever the right answer is, we all came from it, and we're all going home to it, and without exception. And that may not work with some people's beliefs that, but only the good ones get in. My view is everybody eventually gets to go home. Sometimes it takes many lifetimes, but eventually everybody gets to go home, because that is part of the spiritual promise, is we all came from this place, and we all eventually get to go home. But because we're given free choice, we can either take the superhighway home or the country road. And the country road can be many lifetimes to get there. And but that's my view. Yeah.
对，他说那个，对他那个就是确实这个在非洲那个女巫跟他说的话，也引起他思考。他也是相信上帝，他相信我们所有的人都来自于同一个地方，我们所有的人都要回到同一个地方，无论你叫那个叫什么，那个对他来说没那么重要。重要的是，我们来自，比如说你叫上帝，来自同一个地方，最后的家园，我们的家园，我们最终的家园也在那里，我们的归宿也在那里。至于你要走的那条路，是一条光明大道很捷径的路，还是说你要乡村小道转来转去？这个就是佛教上说你要什么来世是吧？转多少世道？不管你用什么样的途径，我们都是从一个地方来，一个地方去。如果你的神不是所有人的神，你的神就不是一个真的神。
我是觉得我们的神是所有人的神，但是我们神有一个标准，它的标准绝对不是说我们是我们想象的。所以就是说，你那个标准，你认为上帝那个标准是什么？你有没有就是说有一个你去来衡量的，还是你自己的衡量，还是上帝的衡量？
What's your standard for the definition of the God? You make that.
Sorry?
You make that how to, what's the standard for God? What's your
What's the standard for God? Love is the standard. It's when in doubt, just ask, what would love do, and do that. So to me, it's whatever we call it, I think loving is the answer.
他觉得不管你叫他什么，他觉得爱是最终的答案，就是对他来说，一切的答案是不是出于爱？
我看到你那个里边有一个我就是爱，爱是什么？你就是爱，然后谁是真正的上帝？你是上帝，上帝就是你。这句话呢，对我来说就是触动很大，因为上帝是上帝，我是我，所以你说，谁是真正的上帝？你是上帝，上帝就是你。这句话对我来说就是，我不太明白你指的是什么。
She said like the book there one sentence, you are the God, God is you, and she said, God is God, I am I.
Yeah, and I think there's first of all, I should say that there's no, I don't believe that there's one right answer to this. I think it's for each of us to find out what the truth is in us, what makes sense to us. Yeah, so I'm a firm believer that I don't think that there should be anyone telling anyone else how they should feel or think about this. It's to your own heart be true, which is essentially, I think any pathway that gets us to continue to look at and become a greater version of ourselves for the highest good of all concerned is a good pathway. And my personal pathway is, and when the book says you are God and God is you, it's not trying to draw some connection of saying, that you are a God. It's not that. It's to say that it's in you, you're a part of it, it's all one. It's all one. So my experience is the closer you get from, instead of separating yourself and saying, God is here and I'm here, but rather than turning it this way and bringing it together to say, no, it's all in the oneness. Okay, that's not to say that you are a God, because that's the ego says, oh, I'm a God. No, it's not that. It's to say, God and I are one. Okay, when you get into God and I are one, you're into the ultimate harmony, the ultimate oneness. That's what was meant by that. Yeah.
对于这句话，他的理解是，不是文字上简单的理解，不是说，你是上帝，上帝就是你，你就是上帝了。这个好像很很狂妄自大，不是这个意思。他是说，与其说你把自己和上帝分得非常遥远，上帝在很高，你在很低，不如说，其实上帝就在你的心中，你和上帝，上帝与你同在，就是他一直在你心里，你们上帝一直与你同行，他其实这个就是一个和谐，非常和谐的一个，非常有爱的一个状态。
非常感谢 David 为我们的分享，让我们确实收益和触动良多。下面我想为大家分享几段读者感悟。
Thank you, David, for sharing with us your wise words and inspirational experience and thoughts. There were some good questions and even better answers. But now we're going to share some readers' reviews.
大卫斯科特像一位魔术师，将人生在书中不断以各种或忧郁、或彷徨、或明快的节奏一一呈现。从苍茫的肯尼亚草原到富丽繁华的天使之城，这种空间变换就仿佛人生的各种际遇的不断相逢，给予我们丰富而又迥异的人生体验。魔方般的思维跳跃，用一种温暖的爱面对生命的真相、烦恼、失去和幸福，最终在心中归于平静， 就像一束春日午后的阳光，穿越阳台，普照在我们身上。
You know, my 25 years of work in the field of education has taken me all over the world. Has allowed me to meet a variety of different characters or individuals. You know, to learn about the different ways in which people look at life, at themselves, in a deeper sense. It helped me in terms of learning in my meditative practices. So the work that I did in education and the relationship that has to my writing is just that. It's that it's all about relationships. And in the writing of this novel, what we really took a look at is the relationship that we have to one another, how we all form mirrors, windows for one another in terms of the greater truth of each other and the greater truth of ourselves. And then so ultimately, you know, this whole process of working throughout the world in the field of education has offered up this real unique glimpse at the nature of people and, most importantly, a reflection of the nature of my own self.
对，就是他以前在教育界25年的经验，走了世界上很多地方，认识了很多人，然后这些就是他在这样的工作经验当中，他知道这个人更多的是一种就是这种学习的过程。每个人都是你的镜子或者一扇窗，所以你从彼此当中你学习认识自己。所以这对他写书是非常有帮助的。
You know, historically, we've had these unique figures that have graced us, and graced us with their presence, and more importantly, with their message. Confucius, Lao Tzu, Rumi, in terms of a mystical love poet from Persia, Voltaire, Bach, Beethoven. So many masters. They show up throughout the book as a symbol, really, and as a message. Each of them with their own unique message that helps to, in some way, allow Jeremy Braddock, the main character, to begin to sort of crack the code on what I would call these key capabilities, abilities that we need to have in terms of whether it's greater service, you know, whether it's greater loving, whether it's you know, greater relationship with one another. And so, you know, these masters that have been, you know, that have been studied since and provide us all still with a perhaps a blueprint for living a better life, being of greater service, being of greater loving to each other and also to our own selves.
就是这个书中引用的很多就是名人，比如说中国的这个孔子、老子，还有以及众多的名人，然后在每一章节这样它出现，它其实就是每一个人传递的不同的信息，就是帮助我们能够从中就是受到启发，学习怎么样去更好的为别人服务，怎么样更好的爱别人。然后就是从这个就是这些引用了这些人物，都是为了更好的，就是说明每一章它的主题，他想传递的信息，就利用这些历史上的名人伟人。
And may I just add that for example, in the case of Confucius, the opportunity for a path of greater wisdom, you know, that we get beyond the mind, beyond the emotional heart, and get into, you know, thinking, acting, and behaving in a wiser fashion. And so Confucius, for example, is just one master who has shown us, who's given us potential hints or clues as to what that life could look like. And I call that a life of grace and ease, as opposed to a life that's forced through the will of the mind, as opposed to the greater will of the heart.
所以像那个书中那个像那个孔夫子，他其实是给别人一个启示，启发别人， 穿越迷雾，是吧？你这个在迷途当中，怎么样能够找到这个心灵的智慧，能够发现更深层，就是人更深层的这个你的意义，所以找到你前行的方向，就帮助人们穿越迷雾，
就是他是不是对中国传统文化也有做了一些了解，是吗
Did you study Chinese culture? Chinese.
I have, and but in particular, though, I study the masters. So to me, it's if you study Confucius or you study Lao Tzu, it provides a series of the basic principles by which I think sort of Chinese culture finds itself, in terms of a foundation. And so to me, the best way to really study a culture is to study those that were most inspirational and those that actually provided perhaps the greatest contribution to the culture and the way of life that exists today.
所以他与其说是中国的文化，不如说他更研究这些中国的历史上的伟人，因为要了解一种文化，你最好去了解那些曾经的存在的历史的伟大的人物，因为这个民族的精神和它的文化是建立在这样的一个基础上，所以这些伟大的人物，他们的思想是非常对这个民族的发展是非常有影响的，
对，其实像孔子也是一个很大的一个教育家嘛。
对，Confucius is a great education, the master, like.
Absolutely, and I would say great education in the broadest sense and in the deepest sense. So it provides, for example, in China, the foundation for its current education system and practice. But more importantly, it provides the foundation for a greater sense of the responsibility of the individual in their own growth and development, the relationship to one another in terms of community, and so whether it's Confucius or these other masters that we study and look at, I think it's one of the greatest opportunities. For example, do you know Michelangelo? Michelangelo was once quoted as saying when he was asked, what was, how did you create such fabulous, beautiful sculptures? And he responded, I carved and carved until I set the angel free. So it was, in essence, in fact, actually that's not the correct quote. It says, I saw the angel in the marble and I carved until I set him free. And that to me is also an incredible blueprint for being a good teacher and for being a good parent, is that our responsibility is to help children, in this case, to carve and carve away at that which is not them in order to get to the essence of who they truly are, the gift that resides within them, and then to bring that gift into the world on purpose, for the highest good of all concerned. And so I think these masters provide us with a unique glimpse or a key through their own good work, oftentimes not recognized for it until far after they've left this earth. So that was the inspiration of it, is that in the many different ways these masters kind of messaged throughout the novel to Jeremy Braddock and gave him clues as to the answers to the questions he was seeking.
对，像这个孔夫子，他同意你的说法啊。这个孔夫子确实是一个教育家，但是他是那种更广义的教育家。世界上其实有很多这样的广义意义上的教育家，比如说像米开朗基罗，他雕塑的这个雕像栩栩如生哈。当别人问他你是怎么样来创造这个雕像，你的灵感怎么来的时候，他说其实不是，我只是在雕琢，我只是在做这样工作，我只是让这个天使把这个天使释放，从这个大理石中释放出来，所以他也是一个老师，他在告诉人们，他只是 在做这样一件事情，就是让这个他看到了天使，所以他很厉害。所以教育的精髓就是我们要把一个人，比如说一个孩子也好，大人也好，其实教育的最终目的是让这个人他能展现出他本身的原貌，就是他自己其实就像那个大卫朗基罗哈。他是让这个大理石钟，他本身他就是把那个天使给释放出来，所以我们教育的精髓就是把人雕琢出他本来的面貌，让他展示他真实的一面。
Well, I think it's a great question because first of all, the book itself is not about religion. I think that pathway is a very personal pathway. I think some people choose religion, but for many it's just trying to find a greater version of themselves. It's trying to find greater meaning in life. And so I say this is more a pathway for sort of a greater connection to our deeper self, our soul, the spirit within us, whatever we want to call it, the greater, wiser side of ourselves. It doesn't require that people believe in a god or follow a particular religion. In fact, I would say very much the opposite. It's just a matter of whether you as an individual are looking for a pathway to make a sort of greater sense of this thing called life, and especially in today's world when there's so much external chatter going on in the world, and there's so much focus on just materialism and material gain. And the question is that really the full extent of life, or is there more to it? And so I think we're going to move into more of a human age where we start to look at what does it mean to be human? What does it mean, our humanity? And some will look for a God, and others will just look for a deeper, wiser expression of themselves, a divine side of themselves, or a more spiritual side of themselves. And every one of those pathways is perfect. Yeah.
他说这本书不是写不是信仰的，不是写信仰的书，但是就是自我寻求的一个道路。信仰是自己的一个取舍，因为现在这个社会越来越多的人重视物质层面，然后会就是心灵迷失，所以对于人类来说，更多的要思考我们活着的意义、生命的意义，所以就是这本书就是帮助人们在人生的旅途当中寻找精神的家园、灵魂的家园，帮助人们思考这个问题。但是你找到什么，这个是很个人的事情，不一定是就是这个宗教，就是你更多的是你心灵上的探索。你要知道人生的意义不仅仅是物质，这是人活着的意义吧。他觉得我是一个合适的人选，因为他觉得我了解他的思想，然后我能把他的这个思想传递出来。但是这个书中文出版以后，他是看不懂的，所以我完全可以 change everything 他跟我说这本书他永远都不知道我是怎么翻的，但是这个前提是信任，所以就是当他把书交到我手上的时候，这首先是基于一种信任我会尊重他的书，尊重他的思想。其实有很多段都很打动我，就是我觉得这本书就是到后面就从10章开始吧，10到14，就有很多章节，有很多话都挺打动的。就是说，其实人生在世哈，就是更多的是要去有勇气去探寻生命的意义，去发现你内在真实的自己，然后就是然后爱神爱人， 这个神，我就是说我虽然相信上帝，但是每个人不一样哈，你自己去定义。就是说，你爱，就是中国人说头上3尺有神灵哈，就是你敬畏神是智慧的开端。首先就是你要认识神，然后敬畏他的心，爱神爱人，然后这才是我觉得作为一个人所赋予的意义。